talk about. When I sat down to put together this session, one of the things I wanted to do with this was to try and get away from the technical stuff a little bit. Because Morocco is awesome. We love technology, right? And it's fun to play around with. But sometimes we tend to forget a little bit that there are clients that actually need to use this stuff. And so this was sort of a way to try and think about what the clients actually want to hear and try and give you some tips and tricks relating to e-commerce that you can go back and use, not tomorrow, because clients are probably also off, but on Monday with your clients if you're doing e-commerce. So there's a ton of ways that we can do this, but that's what I'm trying to do here. Yeah, let's just see. So myself, I'm Søren. I am the founder of uCommerce, one of the e-commerce platforms from Morocco, the first sort of formalized commerce platform from Morocco. We founded the company in 2008. We've been going at it for a long time now. uCommerce is a product company. We're not an agency. We're not a ton of other things. We just do packages for Morocco. That one package for Morocco. It's kind of cool that Morocco enables other companies to get going because there's such an enormously engaged community that want to try out this stuff. So that's perfect. I've also spent a number of years in e-commerce as a consultant prior to launching uCommerce Venture. And that's a lot of that knowledge that's in the product and that we're going to talk about today. If you have questions or anything, comments, just stick up your hand and ask it. I really like interactive sessions, so go ahead and jump in there if there's something you're wondering about or call bullshit if it gets a little too out there. Good. So through uCommerce, we've been enormously privileged because we work with Morocco, and Morocco is sort of a worldwide thing, right? It's a phenomenon at this point. And so we every year we have a sort of an opportunity to look at the e-commerce solutions, hundreds of e-commerce solutions across the world. And I remember when I started out uCommerce, I was yeah, well, I know e-commerce in Scandinavia, where e-commerce is based in Denmark. And I was wondering, does this stuff actually apply in other countries? And it turns out that across sort of the different countries that Morocco exists in, it's actually many of the same challenges that people are facing. So those are some of the things we'll talk about today. I have to see that. At the end of the session, the intention is to sort of make you an e-commerce Jedi, maybe, hopefully, we'll see. It takes some years to get it done, but at least we can sort of start the conversation there. How many of you do e-commerce with your clients today? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, half. Half and a half, I guess. But we'll see. The presentation is structured around these topics: lead generation, retention, and engagement. So those are sort of the stages that a customer will go through. But before we get into that, I want to sort of focus on some basics. Just one core question here. Why build a store? Any ideas?
Sell stuff.
Sell stuff, yes. Thank you. The reason I ask the question is, I wonder sometimes why people are building stores, because you see interesting implementations where the first thing you see is not an actual store. It's more like something that tells about the corporate strategy and we're looking for this employee and this other thing. But to me, the store is there to sell stuff, right? So it's just important to have that as the sort of basic concept that we're working with. So we're not building stores for fame. I think we can agree, well, maybe if you're Amazon, a little bit. And we're certainly not building stores to eat chicks. No, this is the reason, right? We're doing a store to make oodles of cash. That's the point. So that needs to drive every sort of decision and every thought process. Of course, you need to provide awesome customer service and all that. So with that, let's play a little game. It's the game I like to call Pet Peeve. So these are some of the things I've seen over and over again that we can talk about, and just some rules of thumbs just to keep in mind when you build e-commerce stores. So what I'm going to do with the amazing game of Pet Peeve is basically to show you some sites, and we'll talk about them, and you can sort of tell me what you like, what you don't like, what works, and at the end of the day, probably we'll have all my pet peeves covered off. Does that make sense? Good? So first one, this is a store. It sells stuff, I think. Any thoughts? What's good? What's bad? What do you like about it? What doesn't work?
Can't tell what they sell. An interior decorating company or a bed company or wine company.
Yeah, first problem. ideas,
When
good
I
things.
see that, I don't know what to do with it.
No,
Should I click something? I
Maybe.
don't know.
no, exactly. Any other ideas? Good
The
things?
products, the
Yeah.
actual product show.
Well, the products. I can actually tell you that I've got a laser here, so watch out. The products are, I can't see it, but the products are the red things there to the right.
The prices.
They're actually wireless iPhone speakers that you can sort of wirelessly stream music to. So pretty cool products. But the thing that's happened here is the design has gotten a little out of hand, right? Because it's very clean, and I think we can all agree that it's well balanced. It's using some nice colors and all that. But to actually sell something, buy something, notice the little, you can't see it up there, can you see it? Next to the home note, it says shop. So you actually have to go and hunt to find the products and to buy the products, which is, remember the motivation, right? We want to make huge stacks of cash. So why ask customers to go and find the products? Maybe not so great, that idea. So that's pet peeve number one. Make the products easy to find. It seems kind of obvious. This is an actual store, and you'll find many of these types of examples out there. Here's another one. It's in Danish, so I apologize, but it's an online pharmacy. There's drugs, creams, and things like that. Comments? What's good? What's bad? What's different from the last one? Any ideas?
Products are there, you can add to basket straight away.
Exactly. There's no hunting around the products, right? They're right there. There's even some offers, 50% off. There's a buy button right there, all that. Any other comments? It's a bit overwhelming. There's a lot of stuff going on. Yes. So they're totally reliant on the fact that you might be interested in some of these products, and that's the downside. That's where the personalization that Niels talked about is super relevant to comms, right? But at least you find your products, you know where they are, and you know what to do. One thing I would say is maybe the buy button could stick out a little more. It's light green, so it sort of fades away a little bit in the view, right? The purpose of at the top is actually, at least to me, that's what draws my eyes. Whereas you probably want the greens reversed with the purpose to make the call to action super obvious, right? Small things, but again, products are there. You know what to do with them. You can see that you can actually buy stuff. You don't have to hunt around for products. Yep. What about this one? Good things, bad things.
What is it?
You are looking at the front page of a company that sells oils for wooden floors. Yeah, that's part of the awesome design. That's part of the awesome design. I will say this, it's on a projector, so they're not super forgiving with sort of faded in colors and stuff like that. But you'll notice that it has sort of a little bit of the first one that we saw with the speakers. The buy online, right? You have to go someplace else to actually find the products. They're all the way to the right at the top. We're hunting for products again. We don't really know what are they selling. They don't actually say, right? It's just neutral oil and care. Great, do I rub it on my feet, on my hands, or on my floors? I don't know. So they sort of assume that you know who they are. They are, to be honest, a well-known brand in Scandinavia, but still, they are for polishing floors, right? So not something you're super invested in, I think, right? So make the products easy to find, right? This is what's happening. You're presenting your customers with a maze when you're doing this. You're asking the customer to actually find a way through this maze in order to give you their money. So that's a little dumb, right? So it may be a pretty maze, like we saw in the first example, but it's still a maze nonetheless. And what we want to do with this is we want to make it very straightforward to go from A to B. There shouldn't be a ton of steps. There shouldn't be a whole lot of things I need to work out. Customers are lazy, and it depends very much on the different segments. For teenage girls, for example, you have very few seconds for them to decide to actually shop on your site or leave. Few seconds, right? So just clicking that button will actually make them go away. So it's a little bad. It's fine. What about this one? Goinhard, they sell tools for builders and stuff like that in the Netherlands. What's good? What's bad?
Like the categories.
Yeah.
Categorization.
Yeah, you have some clear product types that you.
Small number of deals, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Outlet clearly pointed out this one's actually really good.
Yeah.
Doesn't look like you can add those to your cart though.
There is that
the
one
products
thing,
are
right?
there, but it's not.
There is that one thing. It's in Dutch, so yeah, who knows, right? It may say buy more there, but it actually says more information. Which is a pretty common, the orange button there in the middle. It's a pretty common approach, right? Where you need them to click in. Probably this product has variants on it, so you need to select the size of the blade or whatever. If it looks like some sort of saw or something like that. So there's a technical reason why you want them to navigate it, but if you noticed on the pharmacy, they actually have the drop-down buttons right there. Well, the drop-down is right there on the front page. So you pick the variant you want, off you go. Of course, some product types are super complicated to sell. So if it requires configuration of materials or wheels or add-ons and things like that, you have to sort of go away from it a little bit. I think maybe you know a little bit about that. Yes. How about this one? This is a UK site that sells plastic Christmas trees. Good things, bad things?
Busy, too busy.
It is a little busy, yes.
Interesting that they have buyer's guide right there on the homepage.
Yeah, exactly, right.
History of the product.
I
There's
count
someone
at
trying
least-
to anticipate the need that you have, right? And a Christmas tree is something different. So they start you off by navigating. So they solve a little bit of that problem that we saw with the pharmacy that was a little busy. They sort of try and funnel you in almost into what you're looking at, faster navigation of that. This is one of my personal favorites, particularly because it has that funnel approach. What is they're trying to sort of anticipate my need instead of just sort of looking after their need of selling stuff to me. So you have to sort of find that happy middle ground. Does that make sense? Any other things you like? Don't like?
4 searches.
Sorry, what's that?
There's at least 4 searches there. 4 product searches.
Yes.
Four things that don't make me go buy something, although I guess it directs me to go find something to buy.
If you miss if you're not in one of these categories, then you're in trouble, right? And that is a disadvantage of personalization and trying to get people into these funnels. If you get it wrong, you'll personalize the hell out of it, but you probably won't personalize it right, and so you'll end up in a situation where you don't find the things that you actually need. So there is that. Good. So here's my plea to you guys. We're not actually in the real presentation yet. These are just basic things, right? Please make the navigation about the products. We're here to sell, right? Remember the stacks of cash. So don't make it about who you want to hire, your blog, and all that. It's important, super important to tell the story. But to my mind, because e-commerce is sort of my thing, right? Products and selling, that's what it's all about. Make a front page about products and offers. Show me what I can buy. Make a funnel approach like the Christmas tree site. Put some products on the front page that I can actually buy, maybe your specials or whatever. Make it easy to find and purchase products. Avoid getting into that maze situation where you're basically asking the question to find the cheese at the end of the maze, right? Don't make them behave like mice or lab rats. Just really know. Good. A quick note on buy buttons. This is my rule of thumb that we're into here. Remember this one? What would make this page better?
Buy button.
Buy buttons, right? So rule of thumb, if you're showing a product, stick a buy button on it. So the rule of thumb is stick a buy button on it. How about these guys? Can you guess what we could do here? You know what? Let's stick a buy button on it. Let's make it super huge so you can see it too. Or what about this one? Maybe we'll stick a buy button on it, right? So when you're displaying products, why not make it purchasable? If you're talking about product in your awesome blog that you have sitting in Morocco and you're linking in products, you know what? Stick a buy button on it. Yes. And if you need further persuasion, maybe my furry friend here will help you out. So, yeah, standing joke in newcomers. We have to sneak a lolcat in there. It just has to happen. So, there you go. All right, so back to the actual presentation of lead generation, retention, and I forgot but it'll be in there. Thank you. So first, lead generation. This is what leads up to the actual purchase. And this is an area of e-commerce that is something we sometimes neglect. We sort of tend to focus on the purchase itself. So the macro conversion, that is the act of buying something. The customer adds something to basket, we check them out, so we focus a lot on conversion optimization and all that good stuff that will make them go through the checkout flow. But we sometimes forget all the little micro transactions that leads up to the actual purchase. Depending on the type of business you're in, you'll have a lot of microtransactions. B2B, for example, when you're selling very complicated products or project-based products, has a lot of microtransactions of setting up offers and quotes and things like that. But even business to consumer, you will have a lot of microtransactions that will help you get the deal through, right? Another way to think about it is like this. How many of you have been in a bar recently? It's almost everybody. How many of you have seen a beautiful girl at the bar and thought, she looks pretty good? Maybe, yeah, maybe, right? And the next step, if you're just thinking about macro conversion, would be to go up to this lady or girl and stick your tongue down her throat, right? Because you're going for a macro conversion right away. And I don't know about you, but for me personally, that hasn't been super successful in my years of trying this once. Right? So what happens when you want to sort of get to the macro conversion here? You talk to the pretty lady, right? You ask her questions, you get to know her, and then maybe, right? And this is the same for e-commerce. You don't necessarily go for the actual sale immediately. You lead up to it with a bunch of micro conversions. So let's talk about that. The concept is called permission marketing. So the act of getting permission to actually market to a customer. So think about the newsletter you sign up to. Maybe you give the customer something to actually get it, so they get something valuable, and they give you some personal information so you can get the conversation started. So get the permission by identifying the customer, then start the conversation, is basically what we're talking about, and keep the conversation going, as you'll see. The good news is that a lot of this stuff has actually already happened if you operate stores today with your clients or yourself. A lot of information about customers are already sitting in your databases because most commerce platforms tend to store information in the baskets around customer billing information, shipping information, and stuff like that. And you're probably all familiar with conversion rates on our website. Slightly less people checking out than people actually visiting, right? So industry standard is around 2.4% of people checking out. So 2.5 person will check out of every 100 that visit your site. So this is enormously important information that's in here because a lot of customers, if you think about the steps that you go through when you're checking out, one of the very first steps after the basket page, if you imagine all the line items you have, is asking for billing information, right? So that's stored into the database and it sits right there. But then you may come to the payment page and darn it, your credit card expired or you can't find it or something sort of leads you to not actually check out. But that information is still sitting in your database and can be used to actually complete the purchase, right? So that's an enormously valuable piece of data that's sitting there. And you can use it in various different ways, but the data is there to get it done. So that's information that's already there. You don't actually have to do anything. But if you want to get this information earlier in the sort of the transaction with the customer, one of the very awesome principles is to give something, right? Give the customer something they want in return for their personal information. In this day and age, privacy and all that stuff is big topics, right? So we want to sort of give the customer a little bit of value in return for providing us their personal information. So there are various ways of doing that. This is that site we looked at before, the plastic Christmas trees. It's a classic, right? Give us your email, and you will be part of a competition for a 400-pound hamburger. That's it, right? It's not, you're not even giving the person something, you're just giving the option of maybe potentially winning something. But still, the value is there, right? And now you have the email address, which is super duper valuable because once you have that, you can now start to email back and forth with the customer, sending them different offers, right? Here's another one. It's exactly the same thing. It's in Danish, I apologize. But the little air balloon probably drew your attention, right? Because it's moving. And what it says is get a discount if you sign up. So it's the same thing. They may be asking for a little too much information. The first input is the email address that they're asking for. They're asking for a zip code so they know where you are. And they're asking for gender, which you want to sort of try. I know it's super tempting to try and collect as much information as possible because you never know if you need it. stuff later. The zip code, if I transact later on, I will have the zip code, right? But the shop will, because I need to send the item somewhere to receive. Good. So give to get is basically what I'm saying. We use it too in e-commerce. One of the things that we do is we give away the software, because why not? So you can try it out, we remove a barrier, you can download and try it out. You can even launch a store on it if you want to. Same thing with the knowledge we have, like what we're doing right here. We can try something and give it away by doing online Q&As when people are setting out a project. One of the dangers, one of the risks is, will this platform actually fit with what we need? And it's both in our interest and your interest and the client's interest to figure out whether that's the case before you actually set out on a project. So we spend an hour with you online, and that's part of what we give to receive, if that makes sense. Right. Wish lists. Let me hear about wish lists. Why are they awesome in context of what we're doing, talking about right here? Any ideas? Go ahead.
They allow a customer to tell you what they possibly would like to buy later so that you can offer it to them again later.
Yes, exactly. The customer is essentially telling you exactly what to market to them, right? And there's another little thing here, because in order to retrieve your wish list later on, what do we need?
Log in.
Log in, right? What do we have? Email. And now we can complete the cycle. So this is even better because we have we know who to contact, and we also know what to say to them, right? So a wish list is, of course, a service for a customer, but it's also a great lead generation tool. And a simple one at that, because it's just a basket sitting there, right? You're exactly right. Another one, this is a little old school. This is a physical catalog, right? A paper catalog that you will leaf through. It's pretty pervasive in B2B still. In B2C, a little less so. But what's the great thing about letting a customer request a catalog on the website? Any ideas?
Detail.
Exactly. Now you have the email. Now you have the physical address. You know where the person is. You can start to generate heat maps where the interest is coming from. Sure, there's a cost to generating a catalog, but that's the beauty of being a digital merchant. You will have this information to present anyway, because you have to present it on a website. And so you will have structured information that you can generate these catalogs from. Printing these suckers up, you can almost do it sort of in batches of 10, right? You'll have that information so you can use it, so it becomes a lead generation tool that will actually yield a lot of valuable information. Make sense? Excellent. Works B2B too. Give away the software, right? That's what we're doing here. So to get back to the lady from before, remember the micro transactions that come before macro transaction. Your macro transaction can potentially fail if you don't do this. It won't happen. Certainly won't happen in this case. In commerce, yes, probably they will have been investigating in other areas, not on the website, to be Googling, find the right product for them. But we might as well help them along, because remember the maze, we want to make it easy to get from A to B, right? Engage. This is what happens through the checkout flow. So where we actually need the customers to check out. And this is where this gets a lot of attention. Conversion optimization, this whole field in and of itself, right? So one of the things that you can do is, what I see is a lot of companies that are almost afraid of touching the customer, so not getting in contact with them. But this study here from Forrester shows that almost half of any customer actually appreciate being able to chat somebody on the website. It's a simple tool, and it scales well because not too many customers will do it. But if you're there and you can answer a question, that might be the difference between a customer leaving or actually making a purchase. So there may be variables, and you will have, as a merchant, there will be people that are actually filling, that are not doing stuff all the time, so they can actually take care of this stuff. For me personally, I bought a thing on Amazon, and I needed to return it, and the website was super confusing. So for me, it was a really, really horrible experience trying to figure out how to return this item. But the chat icon was right there, so I just click it. 5 minutes later, I had a rep online, and said, well, I'll just generate the return order for you, no problem, done, and turn a potentially bad experience that would actually keep me from converting again on their site into a positive one that I'm sharing here today, right? So it can actually have a major impact on the website. It's a simple tool. You can click into the website. It doesn't sense? You probably know this already. Free shipping works. But look at the numbers. They're even a little lower. And today, competition is just even bigger than it was when I put these slides together, maybe at least this one here a couple of years ago, when I did this the first time. So 73% say this is critical. I asked my wife, just because I needed some anecdotal evidence for this, how she used this. Is this actually something that works? And so she told me a story that in her mind she has two categories of stores. They sell the same thing, clothing, stuff like that. But they're locked into a category that will offer free shipping and free returns. She will go there first. She will even pay a premium to shop there. They have another one that is the one that doesn't do this. She will go there secondarily if she can't find the product in the first group. So this is super important. You want to be a little devious about it. You can bake the shipping price into the cost of the product. So you're still paying for shipment, but you're making that, you're removing one of those pains in what if the product doesn't fit? What if it's not the right thing? What does it cost to get it to me? Of course, some categories of products are a little difficult to do free shipping on. If you're buying a pen or a pin or something cheap, then a little difficult to ship one pen free of charge. The shipping itself will eat up all the profits. But for large categories of goods, this is possible. And if you bake in the product, the price into the product, you can still do it. Remove that barrier and just give the customer the good. So I think this is almost turning into a mandatory thing that you almost have to do. But it's annoying. It's one of those fees that just eats away at the markets, right? Okay. This is my favorite statistic. And this is where a lot of companies go wrong. So when you check out, you've probably seen this, right? First thing you're presented with, you're sitting there with your credit card, you're ready to pull the trigger. And then the registration form pops up. What's your name, what's your address, what password would you like today? Remember to repeat the password to make sure they're the same. Oh no, your email address, you need to verify that, so 2 times again, that results in a 30 to 50% drop-off rate in conversion rates, which were not that great to begin with, right? Remember, 2.4% industry standard last year. Cut that in half, it's not so good. That's your bottom line right there, that's dropping out on your feet. And I get why it's interesting for a client to ask about that, because it's again in the client's interest to get all this information. What about order history and how do we find all these things so the customer can get back in there and actually modify the order, add more stuff, remove stuff. But the fact of the matter is that most customers won't do that. They will buy the thing, get out. That's it. So again, don't put a maze in front of the customer. Remember the green and the red arrow? Just make it a straight shot. And if you really, really need a registration form, if you really need the customer to be able to log in, maybe you can do it later on, once the checkout has actually been completed. Once you're looking at that checkout page, confirmation page rather, maybe say, hey, thank you for your visit. Really appreciate that. If you'd like to log in after the fact and make changes to your order, we've supplied a password. You just need to click this link to activate the account. Done. Right? And so we moved it to a later stage in the checkout. This is not rocket science, but these are things that clients are actively asking for. Registration forms in the middle of the checkout flow that will screw up the conversion rate. And what will happen is that they will come back a little later and say, e-commerce doesn't work for us. As a channel, e-commerce does not work. We see little to no conversion, and it may be because they're actually doing some of these things. Right? So it's important to actually lecture a little bit when clients ask about this. So with this long talk about checkout and not requiring login forms, I present to you Amazon.com, right? Which do exactly what I say not to do. And one could argue successfully that Amazon is a pretty successful company. Would you agree? How many agrees that Amazon is awesome? Everyone. Good. What's the problem here? The problem is that your client is not Amazon.com, right? Because Amazon.com is this major hub where you can buy everything. But I will wager you, each and every one of you, that none of the clients you work with have been at this scale at all. Not at all. I think if you want to surpass Amazon, you have to go to China and take a look at Alibaba, right? It's the only thing that's big. So while Amazon does a lot of awesome stuff, they're also massive. And So very different from the types of clients that we're likely to see in the Umbraco space. So bear that in mind. It's okay to go and grab some inspiration from the big boys, but just remember that size difference. It does matter.
It's been so long since I've done it, actually. It looks like Amazon, their fine print there is you'll give us a password later. So it looks like they're doing what you suggested anyways, which is just get you through.
I have to sign in to actually be able to purchase, so I can't make a purchase without signing in.
And then you see the I am a new customer,
Where is it?
bottom right.
All right.
So if you are new, it looks like they're basically saying, just give us your password after we finish the checkout.
They may have changed it since, though. I haven't been through it, but they do require login to purchase.
No.
And again, it's not actually required to tie together the sale, the purchase that you make, because you can just designate an email as a key, and you have the same tie, right? So if you log in later, well, you're all done, right? Good. Any other comments to Amazon being huge?
They've notoriously been behind in usability. I mean, they became big because they had the best deals on books, and then their comparison engine made it easy to buy multiple products, but the usability has always been horrendous. I think the quick checkout only came around a few years ago.
Yeah.
Behind.
And it still requires you to be logged in.
Yeah.
For obvious
I
reasons.
remember when they had all those multiple tabs, and they were actually asking their customers, which do you like better? Okay, all these tabs all over places, or it's like, you tracking that.
When you're the 800-pound gorilla, you can get away with some stuff, right? Big hands.
And those awful interstitial pages they used to have when you try to go to checkout, and then they would say, oh, maybe you want these things, and you wouldn't be able to find the checkout button from there. And, you know,
The checkout is actually quite interesting. We'll talk about that a little bit. They almost funnel you through. You have no, not today at least, any additional options. It's all about getting you from A to B, which is something I like. Actually, being a person that does these types of sites, I found myself a little confused as to how I would actually get out of the checkout flow. The only way I could do it was actually to modify the URL, which is pretty smart stuff.
They've cleaned it up, but even now, even with quick checkout, that shipping option piece right at the end, it's still too busy, right? Because they give you options for coupons and gift certificates and everything right there before you leave, and it's not a clean checkout.
We'll actually talk about that in a little bit. Actually, about that. Because, so it's a tiny little bit. Because there's an ongoing debate, right? Single page checkout, multiple page checkout. I think we can agree that getting the number of things you need to do down to a minimum is good, because it makes it easier, A to B, right? But is the optimum number of steps one? I would say no. Because the very thing that you just described happens, it becomes very busy. You have to sort of deal with everything at one time. And as people, as a human being, really bad at that. We can maybe deal with 3 things at one time. We're still a little confused at the end of it. So we want to make sure that people feel a little safe in the situation, because you are asking them to unload some cash. And that's almost a danger situation, like back in the good old days when a tiger was waiting in a bush somewhere, waiting to eat you. It's actually the same psychological mechanisms that are at play. At a smaller scale, you're not running away, but it's still triggering some of those danger signs. Which is interesting. So single page checkout, I think this is what you were talking about, a variation of that. Lots of stuff happening. Enter your credit card details right there at the bottom, shipping information, update card, all sorts of things, and it's like, right?
Does that have a PayPal button on it?
Does it have a PayPal button? Does it?
PayPal Express.
Where is it? I can't even see. Oh yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
Let me use my holidays appointment. Yes, it's right there. So yes, so shipping and payment, all of it in one big glove there. One cool thing about this is you can see the options that you picked. So yes, I picked PayPal, I picked the shipping method. So that gives me a little degree of sort of certainty in what I'm doing, because I can see what I did. I'm a super forgetful person, a little too much actually. And for me that's great, because I do something and 2 seconds later I'm like, what the hell did I just do, right? And we all work like that to some extent when it's something like this. Because again, dangerous situation, tiger in the bush. So we have all the alarms going off, so remembering things is not really at the forefront in this, because we need to make sure that we don't get eaten, basically. So let's look at another example. This is actually an interesting one from the UK, where they have made a one-page checkout, but it's what you call a hybrid. So it's a combination of the two. So what we're looking at here is almost the classic where you have multiple pages you go through. But rather than leaving a page, you will actually go to step 2. At the bottom there, it says step 2 payment information. So when you click to go to the next step, notice the very sort of clear call to action. It will sort of collapse the topmost level and open up a new one. And you can always go back. It's very clear how you will go back. The only problem with this is it will collapse the previous information. So I can't see the delivery information I actually entered on the page. So me being forgetful and tigers in the bush is a problem. So there's another version of this that I quite like, and I think this is a really, really good way to go, which is another hybrid. Again, it's a one-page checkout that combines one page with multiple steps. But what will happen as you pass through the steps, you can see how many steps you have to go through. 3, right? And B. Once you pass on to the next step, you've made your selection. The selection will actually gray out and move over to the left a little bit, leaving space in the middle for step number 1. And so you can both see what you just did, but it's grayed out so it doesn't draw your attention too much, and it gives you the next set of input step that is needed around delivery information. So it's a pretty clean way to give you the best of both worlds. One page, but it gives you still the information that you asked about. This is a super good way to go.
Yeah, are these all mobile sites as well? We're seeing the desktop experience.
This is the desktop experience. They are mobile sites. You can almost see how it will work on a mobile phone, right? Because one screen fit in, so you can just move it in. You would lose the ability to see the previous information, but you only have so much space to work with. You have to sort of make it.
And that's kind of a drawback of the previous one, where we had everything nicely laid out, where you could see everything.
Yeah.
When you're on a mobile experience.
Scroll up and down.
You get carpal tunnel when your phone.
Yeah. Yes, couldn't even see it anymore.
And then if there's an error, then sometimes it's up higher, so
Yeah.
you have to.
And I almost guarantee you that a page like that wouldn't be mobile optimized. It would be scrolling left and right, up and down, and it would be horrible. So yeah, this is a pretty good way to go. It's one I'm pretty fond of. Good. So that's the checkout. That's getting people through. These are, again, it's not rocket science. It's common sense, right? But clients can sometimes forget, so it's important to almost get into an argument with the client and say, well, this doesn't work. Back it up by stats. That's why I had these stats, because it tends to become an argument on opinions, which is not great, because the client will always win, because after all, they are sitting on a big fat wallet, right? But if you can draw in some stats to actually support your argument, it becomes a little easier. Of course, you being an expert in comms also helps. Here's another one. This is something we're guilty of as well, right, Martin? Companies tend to focus on selling to new customers. That's the name of the game. Always new customers. What's the customer acquisition like? How can we grow the customer acquisition numbers? But in the process, we tend to forget that it's actually easier to sell to the customers we already know. The dialogue is already there. We've already done a ton of micro conversions to get the customer in. So why not try and sell to them? We even know what they want. So if you're in a situation where you're selling consumables like ink or toothpaste or shaving cream or whatever, you even have sort of an inkling of when it would actually be necessary to buy new toothpaste or shaving or whatever, right? So you can actually get into that almost a recurring business model where you send new toothpaste or whatever, socks. It's been pretty prevalent that new startups are selling socks or underwear because it's something you tend to forget to buy. And you're not, let's not go there. Right, so remember that. Selling to existing customers is actually easy. You have a full database. You know who your best customers are. You know when they're spending the money, so you can actually get in there and get that going. Retain. This is what it's all about. So customer retention. Once they're in there, you want to try and make the second sale. In many cases, I've seen companies actually spend a ton of money on marketing, on Google AdWords, and all sorts of things to get the customer to the website to convert. And so the first sale is almost at a loss because you spend so much money getting that one customer in. So the second sale actually is where you start to make your money, and the third, of course, it becomes even more interesting. So retention is super important. So let's do that. We've checked out. We've created a customer profile for the customer. We follow all the good practices that we talked about. But the question is the order confirmation page the end of the line? In many cases it is, right? It's pretty common to see, but if you look at a page like this, and all the little arrows, maybe we can find some awesome stuff to do with those, that blank space, right? Psychologically, we're at an interesting place when we talk about the tiger in the bush, because at this point, we have experienced danger and we came out alive. We didn't die buying that toothpaste. Sort of overemphasizing a little bit, but you know what I'm saying, right? So what happens is we start to relax a little. Endorphins are actually released in our brain, the little chemical that makes us happy in a natural and safe, organic way. So we're at ease. And you know what sits very loose in our hand when we're at ease? The little credit card, right? So this is a great place to actually leverage that. We already talked about the registration form, right? Defer. Because we have all the information, we can even generate a password. They just need to click that, I accept that you sent me a newsletter when you create this little button, and you're off to the races, right? The purchase is already done. How about other products that might be relevant? You may ask, we had the discussion about products that Amazon is trying to upsell during the checkout phase, which can be quite annoying. And also it can be quite dangerous to do so, because when you're presenting the customer with new options that we have to think about, we start to worry about loss. Am I losing out if I don't do this right now? And as a species, we're triggered to try and avoid loss. It comes from the reptile brain from when we were gathering roots and berries and things like that. If we lost what we picked up, guess what happened? We died, tiger again, right? So we sort of become hypersensitive to loss. That's why in your attic right now, it's probably a ton of boxes that you don't even know what's in. How many has that? Right? Same fear of loss. You don't want to throw it out because you don't know. Maybe one day it will save your freaking life, right? So relevant products versus here, on the other hand, yes, we get into that mode again where it becomes a little scary because now we actually need to sort of worry, should we buy, should we not buy? But we're relaxed. We made it through the danger, so it's a great place to do it. How about trying to stimulate a repeat purchase? Not just showing products, but actually giving the customer a discount if you purchase again, right? That second purchase is hugely valuable. 80%, that may be pushing it a little bit, but 20%, 10% can be okay, right? And so you get the customer back into the cycle and you go. And if you want to sort of sweeten the deal a little bit, you want to make sure that you create a little bit of urgency. This expire offers ends in 30 minutes or something like that. Because they can take that 80% and say, well, I really don't need a pair of high-end underpants right now. But maybe in a month or 2 months. But if you add that little 30-minute counter there, and it starts to tick down, the little JavaScript, right, you can see the little clock turning, then maybe try to get them in again. So retention is not just about the long run, it's also about very short term, right after the purchase has happened. And actually, speaking of urgency, I just want to check the time.
5 minutes.
5 minutes, that's perfect. Thank you, that's all. No, at the very least, try and get some social media juice going, right? At the very least, of course the sale, that's what we want, but maybe some social media. And I cheat a little bit, so there's a 2-for-1 special on Lowcast today, so this is the second and last one, promise. Is it? Yes, I think it is. There's a little pro tip here. When you stay in contact, you think about emails and newsletters and automation and all that stuff. But where is it? There it is. This is what browsing the internet looked like 15 years ago, right? It's a telephone. If you don't know, you probably have one in your pocket right now. You may have used it last week to actually do a phone call. But phoning up a customer is actually a great way to solve a problem. Say we get into that situation where we have that lead generation going on, where we've stored all the credit card information, but billing information in the basket right at the beginning, right? If we don't make it through, why not give that customer a call? Maybe it's a customer that has a massive amount of items in their account. So pick the top 3, call them, and say, it looks like you have a problem. Can we assist you in completing this sale? it may be 5-7 minutes very well spent to complete that call, right? Try and do it in a non-creepy way. Yeah. But I actually did a sanity check again with the wife because she has a good feeling with that. I'm maybe a little jaded after all these years. But I asked her, how would you feel like if your favorite company that you buy or your close friend phoned you up and said, hey, you have this order, should you want some help completing that? She was okay with that. She's one person, so it's very anecdotal. It's by no means a study or anything like that. But she hates it when companies sort of overstep their bounds. So I take it as a sort of a good step. Yeah, so phone, super good way to keep in touch. So wrap it up. Lead gen, try and identify the customer. Micro conversions, then macro conversion. Don't stick your tongues into throats of women you don't know. That's basically what I'm saying. Then once you're there, convince the customer to buy more. So of course have a great checkout flow that sort of is easy to understand, great layout, remove all the tension and danger, and then try and retain them once you're done immediately after sale, but also keep the conversation going in the long run. There's many opportunities to contact the customers, expiring warranties, things like that. Reach out and say, well, you have a product here, warranty is expiring, we just call them to make sure that the product is all right. It may not cost you a thing, it may trigger a return, but it will definitely give you a happy customer, guaranteed. And of course, caveats, right? Because I lay this out as the thing that everybody must do, but of course it depends, like anything in IT. It depends on whether you're doing B2B, it depends on whether you're doing B2C, it depends on the type of customer you're dealing with. Maybe they're very technically competent and all they need is just entering a SKU in an input box and then they're off to the races. Maybe they need even more than what we're looking at here. If you're buying a computer with Apple, there's a lot of configuration going on of that computer. And you maybe need some help. Do I need this hard drive or that hard drive? How fast should the processor be? That's why they have all the retail details to help you out. So it depends on what you're doing. That's why we've a broad spectrum of experience with lots of websites too. So we'll keep the right form. These things are generally pulled up. So with that, hopefully you can go out and you have maybe a tip or two that you can go and use on Monday with some of your clients, suggest something, become a little green guy. I'm not sure that's actually the goal in itself, but there it is. And of course, I would be remiss if I don't use some of these tips myself. So I'm gonna grab my heart of flesh and run off as quickly as I can. So we also try and give new comments, and one of the things we've done is we noticed that there was a barrier of entry to using our platform because it's difficult to do commerce. You yourself mentioned the island a few years back. So one of the things we've done to try and remove that learning curve is we've made all of the certification and training on e-commerce totally free. So if you want to implement this with a client on a platform that's proven, that has a lot of customers out there, you jump on this training course. It's online. It's April 11th. And be certified on e-commerce and start building these awesome e-commerce solutions on Morocco. Almost, it's a 2-day thing. It's online, so you don't have to leave your company share. Just stick with the office. If you're interested in this or the webinar coming also in this, leave your business card with me and I'll make sure you get signed up and we'll reserve a spot for you. So with that, thank you for your attention.
There's Denmark time. Is that the Denmark-based time? The online?
The training will be set so it matches with the US. So,
oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Any questions? I think we have maybe 1 minute or something like that. Any comments? Anything you
I have a
want?
question around lead gen. What is any statistics around referrals?
Referrals?
Yeah.
Which type of referrals?
So if you complete a transaction, asking the consumer for a referral, if you refer 5 friends or a friend, we'll give you whatever discount like that.
I don't have any actual. Could you all hear the question? Any statistics on referrals? So when you buy something, refer a
Yeah,
friend?
and is that frowned upon or?
I don't have any statistics, but I do have a lot of anecdotal evidence, which leads to the fact that referrals is super good for the company that gets the referral, but the customer feels it to be a little invasive, generally, because sometimes you ask them to share the whole Facebook list, friend list that you have. That's super invasive. Sometimes you ask them to give them maybe 4 emails or something like that. And I guarantee you maybe 90% of the time it won't happen. Maybe not even that many times. So,
Yeah.
because, no.
Yeah, thank you for confirming what I thought.
Excellent. Any other questions?
I don't know anything
Yeah.
about your platform.
You get that
To Morocco, where can I find information and pricing?
You can find that on uCommerce.net. So we have prices on there, we have training materials, we have documentation, forums, all. And you can also come talk to me. Oh yeah, if you want to try it out, if you go to demo.ucommerce.net, we actually have a running version of uCommerce on Rapid 7. So you don't have to install it, you just click around and log into the backend and try it out. But if you have questions, just come to me after that. So leave your business card with me if you want a spot on the training, and I'll make that happen. Thanks.
Thank you.